Yo, all my beautiful people. Hello, how are you doing? Welcome to the alternate point of view. It is I, Tracy Lee. I am your host, and I am so thankful for everyone who joins this channel, everyone who's watching this channel. Please do not forget to subscribe because, as I have said before, over 92% of the people who watch this channel do not subscribe. Oh my gosh, can you believe that? And thank you to my members, Gwen and Lindsay Renee, who is my sister. So if you could just follow suit with them, that would be awesome. I am going to be having an exclusive interview tomorrow with Emily Ferlazzo's best friend. And if you don't know about the Ferlazzo case, please refer to another video that I just did. I will put the link in the description below. It's kind of a quick video, not really quick, but it is a video that I did not really knowing about Emily Jean, is what they call her, Emily Jean, because I just did a video about the trial. I didn't know much about Emily at the time. I did kind of peek on her Facebook, but again, didn't know her very well. So I'm very fortunate to have this conversation that I'm going to have with Lauren, Emily's best friend, and someone else I believe is going to be joining us, a mystery guest. I'm not going to tell, but it is going to be a members only premiere video with those two tomorrow. I can't wait to learn more about Emily and really just focus on who Emily Jean was as a person and discuss who she was and just talk about her, because it's only fair that we focus on the victims and less on the perpetrator, because it's just fair. So that's the way it is, because I feel like it's more that we need to give time to the person who was taken out of this world and less on the person who did the taking. So that is what we're going to be doing tomorrow. I will post that video tomorrow, again, for my members. And now, today, we're going to be talking about something pretty controversial. So I really want to discuss this because this is going to be an alternate point of view topic that we talk about. That is why this video is titled All Lives Matter, because I know this is something that when people say all lives matter, it really pushes a button and hits a nerve to a lot of people, because people want to say that only certain lives matter. And I think that that is not appropriate. I think that everyone's lives matter. And I think that there's a reason for that, because every life is should be cherished, and it should be important that regardless of what someone's past is, or regardless of what someone has done, or their mental health, or whatever it is, that every life matters. Even people who are not so good. Okay. As you know, we cover a lot of situations, a lot of trials on this channel, and we even pray for the bad people, the ones that did the doing. Okay. Because we hope that what they did will kind of snap something awake in their brain or in their heart, and maybe it will show them that, you know, what they did, it was so bad that it will lead them in the right direction. But sometimes you can see that this person, even during their trials, did not snap something in their heart or their mind to show them that what they did was absolutely just horrific and not great, obviously. Because I guess you could go back to people like Sarah Boone, who put her trial off for over 4 years. And she kept pleading not guilty, even though what she did was absolutely horrific. She had an opportunity at a plea deal. She could have taken that plea deal. By the time she got out, she would have still been a decent age. And she was offered a decent deal, you know, and I think that that speaks volumes about someone like her. And she got on the stand and she testified in her own defense. Again, someone like a Joseph Ferlazzo, he testified in his own defense and he pled not guilty. And it just seems odd to me that people like that, who did something so awful to someone as beautiful as Emily Jean, to do what he did in the aftermath, you know, to plead self-defense. You can't fix what you did in the aftermath, especially if all he had done was, pew pew her, that may have been something you could argue, I guess, but what he did afterward is unspeakable. So to plead not guilty and take this all the way to trial and to put the family and friends through what he did at the trial is absolutely just, again, unspeakable. And to say what he said on the stand, and especially the most awful things, and paint her in the picture that he did, which we will find out more about tomorrow, makes that person even harder to find in your heart to, pray for. But these are people who need our prayers even more. But Sarah Boone, again, she did the same thing. So we find people that are just absolute, I hate to say, monsters, because they take these things all the way to trial and plead not guilty and do this, I feel, even on purpose to cause more damage to these victims, even after death. So these are things that we talk about on this channel, but I want to make sure that we talk about things that are even more controversial than that. And that is things like what we're going to talk about today, because I really feel like we have lost touch as a society. We have lost touch that not just one particular race of people lives matter. Every life matters, every single one. And I want to go back to, before we talk about the Daniel Penny verdict and how we got here and how, nice the protests were, considering they could have blown up and been even uglier than they were before, like they were in Wisconsin and Milwaukee. I want to talk about, how did we get to this point? How are we still doing the things that we're doing? So let's just talk about the scenarios with no names. Let's talk about the scenarios, and you can decide how you would do in your point of view. So I want to talk about these scenarios with no names, and you think about how you would react. Okay. So scenario number one, you go to a protest that's supposed to be peaceful, but it's not. Okay. You have several people, hundreds of people at this protest. Lots of these people are carrying weapons. You are claiming that you are a medic. Several of these people are claiming to be medics, but they're carrying weapons because they want to be sure that they protect themselves. You are at a protest. You're at this protest. You are a medic claiming to be, and you're carrying a weapon yourself. And there are several people there that are there to commit violence. They're setting buildings on fire. They are doing things they shouldn't be doing. They're setting cars on fire. They're committing violence against each other. They are claiming portions of the street to be theirs. There's a lot of attacking of other people. There's things going on, a lot of violence, things that shouldn't be there. A lot of the people aren't even from there. They're not even from there. And they're protesting what seems to be interaction with police against a person who, by the way, this woman called the police to help her. She calls 911 needing police assistance against a man who had assaulted her and wasn't supposed to be near her because he had warrants out for his arrest for felony charges of assault and abuse and felony charges of having a weapon when he wasn't supposed to. And she was in fear of her life. He had taken the keys to her vehicle and was trying to take her children. And this is something that she asked police to come help her with. And this man resists arrest. Instead of complying, he resists. He tries to get in his vehicle or her vehicle and has a weapon. Okay. He has been tased. The police did try the tasing that everyone says that they should do first. He did get tased twice. multiple times. And he pulls the taser things out of his body and does not comply. Goes to his vehicle that his children are in. The police, I don't know if they knew the children were in the vehicle or not, but they tried tasing. He goes to get his weapon from the vehicle. As far as the police know, he had the weapon in his hand. He goes into the vehicle. They believe he's going to drive off in the vehicle or what have you. They are trying to get him away from the vehicle. He has the weapon. And what the police do next is up for debate, but they, instead of having the tasers, because you can only pull the tasers out and use them one time, because that's how they lodge out, one time. So they end up having to use their actual guns, and they pew him several times. And this is how police are trained. You pew until the threat is down. You don't stop until it is down. That is what you are trained to do. And he is going into the vehicle. So they pew him until he is down. So granted, now here's what the debate is he was being pew-pewed in the back. This is a very tough debate. I am not going to say, I mean, I'm kind of on the fence about whether because he was in the back, because it was in the back, that is kind of something that's concerning to me. But he did have a weapon. He admitted to having a weapon. He admitted to going to get in the vehicle. He admitted to resisting arrest. But his reasons are not legitimate as far as I'm concerned. He says he did not want to be tackled. He said he did not want to be pushed down and arrested. So he says he did it because he didn't want to be basically wrestled to the ground. He also was tased. Let's not forget. He had warrants out for his arrest, felony warrants out for his arrest. The woman called the police for protection because she had a restraining order against him. She had already been assaulted by him. He wasn't supposed to be on her property. So who is in the wrong here? When you have someone who is not supposed to be near you, who has already assaulted you before, and who also has a warrant out, felony warrant out for having a weapon he wasn't supposed to have, and the police arrive and they know they have a warrant out, so they have every right to take him into custody, and he resists arrest, and he has a weapon. So then you have marches in the street of people who don't even know this man, who just decide that because of what happened to him, they are going to burn down buildings, set cars on fire, brandish weapons in public, and act like fools. So then you have a young man, a very young man, a 17-year-old who comes over because he is also from that area, has been there for some time. He has family in that area, and he decides he's going to go help as a medic, but also carries a weapon. And he is chased down by several people, and for his protection, he fires his weapon. And he does end up taking a life. Then, because he fires his weapon, he ends up being chased down by mobs of people. He ends up getting hit by someone with a skateboard, and he fires his weapon again. Then someone else, he is continuing to be chased down by people. He's trying to get to the police and get help, but he is being chased down by mobs of people and someone who has a weapon themselves who fires at him, and he fires back. Now, who is in the wrong? Now, he goes to trial. He's 18 years old at the time he goes to trial. He was 17 years old at the time this occurred. And he is acquitted, of course. Now, a lot of people felt this was very controversial, and you now know who I'm talking about, and that is Kyle Rittenhouse. And a lot of people felt that he should have been found guilty. But here's the thing. What I see that he did wrong was he was 17 years old and he had a weapon. Now, I want to correct a lot of people about this, but the AR uh, type rifle that he had, and I'm going to explain this to everyone. There is no assault. AR does not stand for assault rifle. It stands for Armalite rifle. Armalite is the company who makes the rifle. It does not stand for assault rifle. Assault rifle is a buzzword that people like to use in order to scare the ever living daylights out of people and make people think that assault rifles exist. They do not. Not in this world of civilian world, okay? You cannot go buy an assault rifle. Sorry for your luck, but you can't. It is Armalite. Armalite is the company. Look it up. That's who makes the weapon, the rifle, whatever you want to call it. But the thing that I see that he did wrong was he had a weapon at 17 years old. Now, all of these other people had weapons of their own, except for the first guy. He had a bag of toothpaste, toothbrush, whatever. He was homeless, and he threw that bag at Kyle. Kyle did not know what was in that bag. So he defended himself because this person continuously came at him. So he was scared. He's 17. He's scared. So I want to say, I just think that probably what I find wrong with this entire situation is that none of those people should have been there in the first place. None of those people should have been carrying any type of weapon. If you feel that you are going to a situation that is that dangerous and that you need to carry a weapon, then you shouldn't go. If you want to protest, you can do a different type of protest, one where you're not destructing property and one where you're not burning cars down or tearing up police departments or running the police out of the area to where they are not even able to protect themselves or the public. So if we're doing things like that, then that's a problem. And everyone is guilty, not just the person who protected himself. And you don't chase someone down in a mob style fashion. So that is my thoughts on that situation. Now, I want you to think of being in a closed, confined environment, very closed, in a underground environment where there's nowhere for you to go. And the reason I say this is because I have family that live in an area like that where they have to take the subway. And I know where there have been times where my cousin has been home late, has missed the subway, has had to not be able to get home because of situations very similar to what this has happened, and where they have had someone who has been threatening people on the subway. We see these videos all the time where people are being threatened, where people get up and actually just punch you in the face, where people just start brandishing a weapon and trying to hurt people on the subway. So this happens all the time. And this very thing happened when Jordan Neely decided to do this and decided to get on the subway and start threatening people's lives and threatening and saying, I don't care. I'm going to hurt everyone, including myself. And I don't care if I have to go back to prison. I don't care. Now, people could have sat there and done nothing. And you know that's going to happen from now on. People will do nothing because no good deed goes unpunished. Now, I will tell you something about this chokehold situation. The chokehold is not meant to actually take someone's life. It is meant to hold someone down until someone comes. It's not meant to take someone's life. A chokehold, if done properly, and if that is what Daniel Penny was trying to do to Jordan Neely, he could have done so, but he didn't. The chokehold is meant to subdue a person. If you want to actually take someone's life in a proper chokehold, in a deadly chokehold, as they kept trying to make Daniel Penny out to be, was a trained killer. Which if he were doing it in a way that he was a trained killer, he could have done so because he is a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. But I will tell you this, if he wanted to kill Jordan Neely, he could have done that. But he didn't kill Jordan Neely. Jordan Neely was still alive when the police arrived. So I will tell you this. The chokehold again is meant to subdue. And there were two other men there that were helping subdue Jordan Neely. Those men were not charged with anything. And why is that? It is because they were men of color, or whatever you want to call it. And Daniel Penny was white. Now, something else I want to point out is that a chokehold, you will pass out. If done properly, you'll pass out between 8 to 10 seconds. Done, out. It's meant to take you out really quickly and you pass out, but you come back pretty fast. Okay. I know this because I've seen people do it, and I've also seen the training. Okay. So it happens very fast. But when you're trying to subdue someone, you're just holding them down. He didn't have him in a lock that would make him pass out. It was just holding him down. So Jordan Neely would have eventually tired out and gave up. But Jordan Neely decided to fight this chokehold, or whatever you want to call it, to the extent that he basically did tire out. And whatever medical issues he may have had, no one would know that. No one would know that because people don't walk around with things that say, I have a mental health issue, I have a heart issue, I have sickle cell, I have cancer, I have what have you, whatever. The only reason Daniel Penny was charged is so that this could be about race. And it wasn't about race. Daniel Penny tried to help people on the subway. And if he hadn't have stepped in, no one would have stepped in. And Jordan Neely, who, although was a tiny person or looked like a small person, mentally and physically, people like that, if they are bound and determined to do something, could actually hurt someone. So I also want to point out that Jordan Neely's father made a statement on TV, and I find it very ironic that his father's statement, what he said in his statement, I just find it very strange that what his father said. So I want to play his father's statement because I find it odd what his father said. Because, you know, the reason I find it odd is because where were you? Where were you when Jordan was alive? You know, where the heck were you when Jordan was alive? That's what I want to know. So
I miss my son.
I miss
My
my
son
son.
didn't have to go through this. I didn't have to go through this either. It hurts. Really, really hurts. What are we going to do, people?
No tears.
What's going to happen to us now?
No one deserves to be choked to death.
No one.
And
So I that's what I want to say about Jordan Neely's dad. So there is a video that's been taken offline. I've looked for it everywhere. But the day Jordan Neely's father found out that he had passed away, he did not even know where his son was. Some reporters actually found him and knocked on his door and went to ask him what he thought about his son's death. And he was like rubbing his eyes like he'd just woken up. And he opens the door to all of these reporters at his door. And he had no idea. Now, I want to remind everyone that Jordan Neely was homeless. He had been homeless and on the streets and off and on drugs for 10 years. 10 years. And now this father has the gall to be on television and say, I miss my son. But he has no tears in his eyes. I am just curious, where were you when your son needed you the last 10 years? Were you even ever a part of your son's life? And now that there's a possibility of money, where's that green coming from? And where's Ben Crook at? Because usually Ben Crook is right there. When there's money about to be coming out, Ben Crook is there. Or is it Ben Crump? I'm sorry. Ben Crump, Ben Crook, same difference. There's always Ben Crook standing right there. So I'm just curious, where is that guy? Because you know why? Because Jordan Neely's parents were nowhere to be found when Jordan Neely was alive. And for him to have the nerve to say, I miss my son, you didn't miss him for 10 years. You didn't even know where he was. And when you came out rubbing your eyes when the reporters were sticking microphones in your face, asking you what you thought about your son's death, and you didn't even know where you didn't know your son was gone. It's pretty disgusting. And then you have all of these people who are putting you in the spotlight because your son passed away, because your son was threatening people on the subway, and people were really afraid. They were scared, and they testified to that in Daniel Penny's trial. So this is something, Daniel Penny is not being hailed as a hero because he was acquitted. He's being hailed as a hero because he saved people's lives, or possibly saved people's lives on the subway. Imagine if you were on the subway. Imagine if you were in that position and nobody did anything. People just turned a blind eye and left you sitting there, and you didn't do anything. You couldn't do anything to help yourself. And here this person comes along and says, I will hurt everyone. I will kill everyone, including myself. I'll go back to prison. I don't care. I don't care what happens to me. I'm going to hurt everyone. And people are claiming he was asking for food, whatever. He had a muffin in his pocket, whatever. And then people resort back to this whole mental health crisis that we are having. No one wears on their face or on a shirt or whatever, I have bipolar, I have schizophrenia, I have this, I have that, because the same thing happened in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. The girlfriend testified with the guy who Rosenbaum, I believe, that said that he had bipolar, he was on medication, but he was also, which again, this also doesn't matter. He was a felon. He had abused her. He had been to court for her, and she took him back. And he had numerous felony charges against him, had been in and out of prison his entire adult life. But does that matter? Does that really matter? Does Jacob Blake's past really matter? Does that matter? Does any of that matter? Does the fact that Jordan Neely was homeless and possibly mentally unstable, does any of that actually matter? When it comes to that actual moment, does that matter? What matters is the moment. Does it matter that the people in the incident, their history, does it matter? Because all of the people that Kyle Rittenhouse, the two people's lives that he took, were felons. But does that matter? No, it doesn't. It does not matter. What matters is the moment of these things happening. Much like everyone is talking about the Menendez brothers, they've served their time, let them go, blah, 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 blah. But as the district attorney in LA is saying right now, because there's a new one, you guys. What he's saying is, regardless of what they went through if they went through those things when they were kids, what matters is the moment. Did they feel a threat at that moment? At the moment that they took their parents' lives? Just like with Sarah Boone, you guys, does it matter that Jorge was supposedly this monster and that she felt that she had to teach him a lesson? Does that matter? No. What matters is the moment that these things happened. The moment. Much like I think Betty Broderick should be out by now. She is serving 30 to life. Apparently, they're giving her life. But does it matter what Dan did to her before she did what she did? No. What matters is the moment. The moment. The moment. Much like Joseph Ferlazzo, what he did to Emily Jean. If Emily Jean were this abusive wife that he painted her to be in the trial, does that matter? No. What matters is the moment that these things happen. What matters is Jordan Neely threatened people on the subway, and what matters is Daniel Penny stopped it from happening. What matters is 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse went to a place he shouldn't have been at, much like the majority of all those people there shouldn't have been there. And the majority of those people there were carrying weapons, and they should not have done so. I bet most of them were also criminals, like the 2 people that he took out. But does that matter? No, it doesn't matter. Trying to paint these people as suffering from mental health issues and trying to turn their lives around or whatever, doesn't matter. What matters is the moment. That is what happens. That's what matters. So when I say all lives matter, they all matter. They all matter because regardless of what their past is, regardless of what choices they're making before they made the choice they decided to make in that moment, that is what matters. And that's why all lives matter. That's why whatever these people did beforehand, that's why whatever happened prior, whatever's going on in their head that we can't see, that we don't know about, that doesn't matter. What matters is every life matters. Every life. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. It doesn't matter what background you have. It doesn't matter anything. It doesn't matter. What matters is God made us in his image, and the choices that we choose to make on this planet while we're here, that's what matters. So the in the moment choice is what matters. And in the moment in Wisconsin, all of those people chose to be in that moment. And all of those people chose to make the decisions they made in that moment. And in that moment on the subway, Jordan Neely chose to threaten people's lives, and Daniel Penny chose to help the people in that moment. And it wasn't about race. It was about helping people. And now no one's going to get any help. Now, if someone wants to hurt someone on the subway, they're going to get hurt. That's what's going to happen. And now anyone who wants to protest and do anything crazy and burn buildings down and set stuff on fire and what have you, no one's going to save you. No one's going to help you. No one's going to do any of that. If that's what you're calling for is violence, then violence begets violence. Hate begets hate. So I am just saying that is my point of view. This is my point of view. It doesn't have to be yours. Your point of view can be different. Your point of view can be looking at this through the lens of there's mental health issues. And I agree with you. I agree that there are mental health issues. I agree there's a lot of mental health issues, but people aren't wearing it on their sleeve. They're not saying I'm a schizo. They're not saying I'm bipolar. They're not saying I have had a troubled childhood. All of those things. They're not saying that. Much like the school shooter in Madison, Wisconsin, also, she had some issues. It's very rare to find a female school shooter, but apparently this girl came from a very rough background. Obviously, her parents, according to her in her manifesto that I've seen part of, she was not happy in her home life. Her parents, she despised and called them scum. And all of those children that she decided to go to school and do what she did and then take her own life, obviously, all of those people's life matter. And it's very, very sad that we have in this society over 80 school shootings in America. And a lot of people are talking for more gun control, of course, as they always do. But here's something that my point of view, I believe that society has changed quite a bit. When I was a kid growing up in Alabama, we were taught how to handle weapons. We were taught not to touch weapons. My granddad had his Colt 45 sitting right there by him in his house. It wasn't put up, it was sitting right there. But that was back then. My grandma, they had rifles sitting by the door. I mean, it was not uncommon for things to be sitting out. But we knew better. I think I was more afraid of my pop than I was the weapon. So nowadays, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. And I really believe, but we didn't have social media. We didn't have video games. We didn't have the things. I mean, we played Centipede. Okay. We played Pac-Man. We didn't have the things that we have right now. So I really feel like society has changed. The consequences and repercussions are different. Now you can't send your kid out there and go pick a switch and whoop the crap out of them, because that's child abuse now. But back then it wasn't. Back then you learned a lesson. So spare the rod, spoil the child, as the Bible says. But now there's too much sparing the rod. So the children are spoiled. So this is my point of view on this. I do believe we're in a society where children are not learning consequences and repercussions. And I do believe that, yes, there needs to be more safety, but I just think we're living in a different world. It's a different world. It's a different society. And good Lord, I sound like my parents, but you can't teach the way we did back then. There is no fear in children today. They really have no understanding that this is permanent. It's forever. It is not the same as it was when I was growing up. When I was growing up, we did this, and that's what we did. We were much more afraid of our parents and our grandparents and what they would do. I did not want to go get that switch, and God forbid I brought back a flimsy switch. So it's not the same. And kids today, and they do say this, a lot of those kids that do these things are playing Fortnite, Call of Duty, and Grand Theft Auto. But you get more lives in those games. If you die in those games, you get another life. It's not like in the real world. You don't get another life. So I do believe there's a lot of influences. There's too many kids trying to get famous on TikTok and Instagram. And I mean, I'm not sure if you noticed, but there's a lot of kids out there that will do anything to get more likes, get more clicks, get more anything. And they're doing this and they're doing wild and crazy things. A lot of kids are even, deceasing because of the things they're trying to do to get more likes and get more clicks. I have a friend of mine who did a YouTube video, Leah Thomas, who did a video on her channel about a guy on his very first YouTube video where he passed away because he used a real gun, and his pregnant girlfriend, took his life because he thought it would be a cool video to do, to have her point this at him and shoot. And he passed away. All this to get more likes and boost his channel. I mean, people just don't get it. So, if you're having problems, if you're dealing with things, I mean, even this girl, the one in Madison, she had a boyfriend online. He said she was very sweet to him, always nice. She never mentioned anything about doing something like this, but she was obsessed with certain people that influenced her in a certain way. She was very obsessed with neo-Nazism. I'm not really sure where she got this type of stuff, but she, when people are searching for somewhere to belong, something to get them out of the type of life that they're living, a lot of kids turn to that type of stuff. And I think it's really sad. So I just want to point out that even if you ever feel like your life is, you know, not in the best place, going to that far of an extreme is not where to go. There's God. God is there. And I'm seeing a lot of ugly comments on Twitter because, they're saying that it's just awful things. Twitter, get X, Twitter, whatever you call it, is just full of hate. So full of hate. And I miss the days on social media when people would post their lunch or post their dinner, like those kind of pictures and the selfies. Oh my gosh, the selfies. Now it's just hate, hate, hate. And, this is a time where we need more Jesus. We need to pray. We need to pray for each other. And I see people posting ugly things like, thoughts and prayers are not going to help. Thoughts and prayers are not for dead children. And I think it's really ugly because, God has a plan, and maybe these things happen because it should be helping us open our eyes to that we do need more Jesus. But instead, it is making people show their more hateful sides. And I would hope that it would make people see that we do need more God. But it's not. It's actually showing people and how much they hate God. And I would hope that it would show people how much we need God. So I want to leave you all with today's prayer. And I just want people to see that if you like this content and you appreciate it, please like, subscribe, and share it. Hit the notification bell so you know when new content comes out. It's very important that you hit the notification bell because you won't know what's happening on this channel if you don't. I appreciate everyone who watches this channel, but please understand that great is our Lord and mighty in power. His understanding has no limit. Psalm 147:5, and God has no limit, you guys. And I wish everyone would turn to God instead of bad things like listening to, Unabomber or Mein Kampf or anything like that. If you want to understand those types of things, it's fine, but understand that God is always there. He's always listening, and he knows and sees everything. And we do have free will to choose what we want to do. But these kids today, they're just kids. They don't understand. They don't know. And they need guidance. And they need to go to church. And I hate that they don't have families that do that. So I want you to think of these scenarios that we talked about. They're not scenarios, they're actual life. These things happen in real life, and they're going to happen more and more, unfortunately, but it's not about race. These things are not about race. Okay. If we make it about race and keep pulling this race card and we keep pushing this divide, we're never going to find peace. Just look at it as, what can we do to make things better? How can we help each other in society? Because God does not see color. God didn't make us so that we would see color. And I know that sounds cliche, but God made us in his image, and he made every single one of us, no matter what color we are, in his own image. And he made us so that we could love one another and turn the other cheek and just find peace. So please, everyone, reach out to your neighbor, reach out to your friend, and, reach out to a stranger. Pray for one another. That's what we need to be doing more of. So please, again, thank you so much. Kamsahamnida. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for being a part of this community. Please join as a member so you don't miss out on exclusives. And don't forget, once my merch is back up, you'll get a discount when you're a member. And if you are not a member, you can still put in Justice for 10% off. And I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. God bless you all. And once again, kamsahamnida. Thank you.